So we left off yesterday here with Vasco da Gama and his establishment of trading centers in India. Agreed? Okay. And we talked about how he set the model for other trading empires that followed him, correct? Okay. So then our next explorer is Vasco Núñez de Balboa. You may know him simply as Balboa. Okay. He should be in your notes, probably towards the end of the section. 1513 you don't have to know. It's just, again, to give you another signpost. Okay. Balboa explores for the Spanish, and he spends most of his time in Panama. And he names what is to us today the Pacific Ocean, but he names it the South Sea. And that's because when he and his men crossed the Panamanian Isthmus, they crossed it where the land runs east to west. So as they crossed it, they were going south. So when he got across the isthmus, he called it the South Sea because it was the water to the south. It's a later explorer who comes upon the same body of water and gives it the name we know it by today, which is Pacific. And that would be Ferdinand Magellan, who actually gives the Pacific Ocean the name we know it by today. But Balboa has the distinction of being the first European to see that ocean. Okay? That's all you have to know about him. So, Ferdinand Magellan. You've probably heard of him before. Yes? Have you been taught that he is the first man to circumnavigate the globe? That's wrong. Before we get into why that's wrong, what does circumnavigate mean? Sail around, go around. Circum means circumference, circle, navigate, around. So circle around the earth. Magellan didn't circumnavigate the earth. He was killed in the Philippines. He's buried there. So it is his voyage that completes the circumnavigation. His crew and his ship go on and complete the circumnavigation. So just know that distinction. Along the way, everywhere Magellan touched land, he claimed it in the name of Spain. That's significant because when he hits the Philippines, he claims the Philippines in the name of Spain. They will remain a Spanish territory for the next 300 plus years. Spain will still be holding the Philippines in 1898 when we get into a little scuffle with the Spanish over Cuba. And it erupts into what? Louder, Noah? The Spanish-American War is correct. When that war is over, we're going to end up with 4 pieces of Spanish territory in our possession, and one of them will be the Philippines. And we're going to promise the Philippines independence and still not have given it to them in 1941 when what happens? Pearl Harbor. The Japanese also attack the Philippines. That ends up resulting in what's known as the Bataan Death March. Have you heard of that? Okay. So you can trace the fact that our soldiers were there in the Philippines back through the Spanish-American War and clear back through all those years of Spanish possession to Ferdinand Magellan. Okay? History matters. Got Magellan? He's the 5th and final explorer you have to know in this section. Now, when we look at this map, we'll have to put it back up here. When Portugal and Spain are out here collecting all of this territory, and gathering up all this land that they've claimed. Look where Magellan landed on the southern tip of Africa. Right? Well, who'd already been there? What nation? Portugal had already been there. Behind Magellan is going to come some other explorers. There'll be a Portuguese explorer by the name of Cabral who will crawl all over the coast of South America. There's going to be conflicting claims on this territory. So we have Spain and Portugal both fighting over the same toy in the toy box. Okay? Have any of you ever had to share a room with a sibling? Okay, a few of you. Is that a real easy prospect? Do you get along just greatly? You get along with Joe? Are you the younger sibling or the older?
Out of both of us, I was the oldest.
Okay. Did you push your brother around?
Well, he was my stepbrother, but so he shut his mouth whenever I did something.
Ah.
Scared me.
Wow, bully. Nice.
No, like I was nice to him, but like he just shot.
Okay. Did he ever take your stuff?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Matt, you kind of said yours wasn't a great living together, but older or younger?
Younger.
So did you get picked on? No. What was bad about the situation?
He would like to take my stuff.
There you go. Okay. So Spain and Portugal are sharing a room in Europe, right? They share the Iberian Peninsula. They're next door neighbors. What? No. And they've claimed a lot of the same land out there in the world. Now, if they were to go to war, Spain is bigger and it has more people and it's more powerful. So Portugal probably would not come out on top. So you think, well, why wouldn't Spain just go to war and take all of the territory that Portugal's claimed if they're probably going to win? Well, because Spain has all of this territory they've claimed, and they'd rather put their energy into checking out that territory, exploring it more, developing it, getting the goodies out of what they've claimed. Okay? So when you would fight with your sibling, Matt, who would you go to when the fighting was bad enough?
My mom or my dad.
Okay. So you're Catholic Spain and you're Catholic Portugal, and you have a disagreement over who gets what in the world. Who do you go to? You go to Jesus. Unfortunately, Jesus was not accepting appointments at this point in time. Next best option? The Pope. The Pope, yeah. They could have tried God, but he wasn't returning his calls. So, yeah, the Pope. They go to the Pope, and the Pope says, well, this is a problem. This is a problem, my children. Let's see. Show me the problem. So they put a map out in front of the Pope, and they say, here's what we've claimed, here's what they've claimed. What do we do? And the Pope says, oh, well, this is simple. Portugal, you get everything here. Spain, you get everything here. Now be gone. And they're like, why didn't we think of that? A couple of years later, Spain and Portugal sit down at the table in a city called Tordesillas, and they negotiate a treaty called the Treaty of Tordesillas. And they say, the Pope got us started, and we certainly appreciate his efforts, but we've worked out a little better division for ourselves. And they shift that line of demarcation. They shift it west. That's still not far enough west. I'm going to start from down here. They shift that line of demarcation west. And Portugal gets everything over here. And Spain gets everything over there. Line of demarcation. That is an important term to know. It demarks the division. Okay? It prevented war between two very powerful countries. They didn't need to go to war. It's very clear that there's plenty of land to go around, right? Okay. This is pretty unique, seeking out a third party to arbitrate rather than just fighting over it. Now, let's look at the long-term impact of this division. What language do they speak in Brazil? Portuguese. What language do they speak in Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Argentina? Spanish. How about Panama, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Mexico? Spanish. What's the predominant religion in all of Central and South America? Catholicism. Anybody care to have a debate on whether or not history matters? Okay. All right. Now, the question always arises, did they draw the line all the way around the world? The answer is no, just in the Western Hemisphere. They knew that Asia was over here. Portugal had much longer standing claims to rights in India and along the eastern coast of Africa. Okay? That is all I have in terms of formal lecture for you. The quiz is 18 questions, 27 points. That should tell you that there are some questions with some pretty good point values. Do you have questions for me?
What was that last
Treaty of Tordesillas. It's on the board there. Do not call it the Treaty of Tortillas. I'll write it up here for you. Yes?
How do you spell demarcation?
Demarcation. Wow, that gets really off as you get to the edge of the board, doesn't it? No? Amerigo Vespucci. You need to know this about Amerigo Vespucci. You need to know that he comes over and pretty much maps the coastline of South America and a lot of Central American and Caribbean islands. He charts this stuff. When he goes back to Europe, those charts end up on the desk of a cartographer in Germany. Okay? That cartographer in Germany was constantly updating the maps with the latest charts that the explorers brought back. Up to that point in time, this new territory in the Western Hemisphere was referred to as Colombia because it had been discovered by Columbus. But there weren't a lot of maps that had been updated with that on them. So this German cartographer is sitting at his desk, and he is using these charts, and the charts are labeled Amerigo Vespucci. And so the cartographer is detailing all of this coastline and this landmass, and they're figuring out how big it actually is and getting the scale of everything right. And as he goes to name it, his eyes land on these charts sent in by Vespucci, and he names these continents America for Amerigo. Were it not for that cartographer's mistake, we might live in the United States of Columbia instead of having our capital in the District of Columbia, and we might sing God Bless Columbia instead of God Bless America. Who knows? So that's what you need to know about Vespucci. Yes, sir? No, you do not need to know Waldenseemüller. Any other questions? There's lots of extra credit built into this quiz, but it comes from knowing a lot of detail. So don't count on the extra credit. Other questions? No? All righty then.